All right. Thought we might talk about France, see what's going on there. Thought we'd just do a live. Maybe we could all talk about France. I don't know if there's anybody that follows this that's in France, and you could maybe come on and give us a little bit of a talk about what's going on if you're in Paris or somewhere where we're seeing protests. We're in the rest of the world, and I think we're seeing so much footage coming out of just, crazy scenes in France. I mean, some of it's inspiring, some of it's scary. I think if you haven't seen that video of the police officer that was either knocked out or something, hopefully only knocked out, that was being dragged out of the front line, and we're watching the police van. I just shared one this morning, the police van that ran up the back of the other vans, and so the police are having accidents. And I think there's just a lot of pressure there, and it's sort of sad that you get one leader like Macron that just sits back in his lounge and passes orders and has chaos in his city and chaos in his country, and obviously doesn't seem too concerned about that. So yeah, I just wanted to chat about that. If there's anybody that's on here from France, you're in France, you're welcome to join in the live and give us a little bit of a update of what's going on. I think we, as the rest of the world, we're all watching pretty closely because we know we're lined up for the same sort of junk that they're lined up for, really. I mean, they're protesting against pension reform, but we're all going to start to see similar sorts of things in our countries. And I'm currently in Australia. I'm doing a lot of it from here, but Australia is pretty much just laid down. I think a lot of the laws, they just pass whatever they want to pass. The Australians are very, very laid back. I'm a dual citizen with the US, so I spent 20 years in the US. And one thing I liked about the Americans was they were always very, and I'm talking about the people, they stood for their rights. But we're watching in America as they're just eroding that. And the Americans are the same. They're being very quiet because I think the mainstream media. And so I've got some comments coming on. The two countries the best example of government implementing a new world order are Canada and Australia, 100%. I would put New Zealand in there as well. I mean, New Zealand lost their Prime Minister a little while ago, Jacinda Ardern. And she was just, that woman was a female version of Justin Trudeau. And I think the World Economic Forum's just gone out and found the people that fits with it. I don't think, I shared a video of the police, someone asked if the police and the fire department are standing with the people. The fire department, I believe, are, yes. The police, I don't think so. I shared a video of that, and then it sort of turned out that it was an older video. But I was hoping it would inspire some of the police to have a heart, so I left it on there. And same with Italy. There's videos of the Italy police that are standing with the people, but I think that's old as well. So yeah, France, they're not, the police are not, that I've seen, standing with the people. They're very much, fighting the people. And I don't know if you've seen some of the videos on there of the hail of bricks that are hitting the police, and it's. I mean, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but sometimes you're looking at this and going, hey, you're merciless. There's a video that came up this morning. I couldn't share it because they kicked me off pretty quick. I'm already getting threatened for some of the fireworks going over police. TikTok limits you sharing that, then they give me a community violation, and I've only just come out of a restriction where people can actually see my feed and join it in again. But yeah, police are, and Dan, they're our neighbours and our family, but some of these people sure aren't acting like that. I remember somebody telling me a story in one of these countries, I think it was in Canada, they had the police, two brothers, on either side. One was with the protesters, one was with the police. And I think, yeah, I get it, the police have to follow orders, but if we could say that about the Nazis, right? Oh, we were just following orders. Somewhere along the line, you've got to stop and say, I have character, I have a man of principle, and I will not do this to my own family. I will not do this to my own country. And if the police all start stopping, then the leaders that are behind, the cowards behind the scenes that are passing these orders, have to stand by their own things. Yeah, more likes. Yeah, if you can keep giving likes, that'll be great. It's funny, I didn't get notification of restriction, but they restrict you, and I knew because we were having great numbers, and it just shut down to nothing. I was lucky to get 10 people looking at a video. I'm close to Toronto, Canada. Okay, Dan. I had some contact with the Canadians. It really is ground zero, and I think that the thing we should all, wherever you are globally, keep in mind here is the World Economic Forum and the globalists are behind every one of the protests. The protests may be for slightly different things, but they are the same people behind them, the globalists that are breaking. They're for globalism, so they're breaking national identity. They don't want you to have that. They're doing it through immigration, open borders. Yes, I'm in Australia currently. They're doing it through open borders. If you look in the US, I think since Biden's been in, there's something like 4 million immigrants that have come over the border illegally. They've opened the border. They're trying to destroy the US with that. They're flooding the world with currency. And I have to say, don't be fooled with that. When this all sort of goes down a bit, the currency is going to collapse. There's no way it can't. And we're starting to see more and more people say that. Trump, yeah, I mean, a lot of people have got a lot of feelings on Trump, but that's the one thing I get down to right now. We've got to quit it with the drama. You know, he said this, she did that. Get to the bottom line of the person and say, and we've got to build from there. And we're getting to the bottom line is this person a globalist or is this person a nationalist? And I think we could probably all agree that Trump is a nationalist. And that's been one of the things why the world hated him, because he was so pro-America. And I think that's why they're actually trying to have him arrested, because I believe once you've been a felon in the US, you can't run for president. So they're looking for any way they can to stop Trump from being able to run for the president again, because the US presidential election is, I believe it's November 2024, and they are going to have to break this by then, if they can. So I think America is pivotal to all of us, to be honest. Whatever your feelings are on America, if they can break the US, we then have a complete global everything, global domination of these people. And another thing, I'll get to some of these comments are full of US borders. Yeah, your migrants are full on the US borders, Dan. In Ontario, they're full in Ireland. They're doing it in Ireland, in the UK, and Germany, and Europe, all over Europe. They are flooding, here in Australia, they are flooding the world with immigrants to try to bring that chaos to people. But who's ever seen anything from the World Economic Forum? Have you seen anything for like probably a month or more since their last conference? They've gone completely quiet because they know there's chaos, they know that people are getting upset, and they know they've got a target on their back. I just shared one with Bill Gates where he's trying to be all nice about the vaccines, and he was the one that promoted it. Now he's saying, oh, they don't work, and he's trying to... These guys can't go out in public. They go out in public. I wouldn't want to. So I think yeah, thanks, Eddie. I'm like all of us, I think we try to piece together and make sense of it. And I think it's very important we don't get caught up in the, I must be Aboriginal. No, I'm not. I've never seen a red-headed Aboriginal. Come on, red face. But I've got a good friend that is, and just a good man. Yeah, in France it's because of the retirement age. Yeah. Now, Dan, I think, or Downey, Trump in 2024, I'm not pro any politician. I'm pro freedom, and again I'm pro nationalism. I think that in the sense of, now I better quantify that. I'm for national identity. People need to be proud of their country, and they are trying to stop that. And I think I'm looking at the candidates and going, who is pro-America? Because when they are pro-America, they put a dent in this global agenda. The CBDC, the central bank digital currencies, I think by the end of 2023, the latest of 2024 presidential election, we're going to see the collapse of the US dollar. Do you have a Trump in your place? Here in Australia, we don't. Oh, there's some men, but they're not. We got like a Malcolm Roberts and some of the guys like that in a One Nation party here, but they get a pretty hard time from the press. And It's the same everywhere. It's so corrupt. I even question if there's such a thing as free and fair elections anymore. I have watched as they've manipulated the US elections with Trump, with Kari Lake in Arizona. Excuse me, they did the same formula in Brazil. Really, it's, yeah, these globalists, they know what they're doing. They've got such power, and now, and you know they're up to something because they've gone quiet. I mean, up until, what, their last meeting, they were crowing about how they're going to have chips in all of our heads, and crowing how they're going to take over the world, and we're going to have a central bank digital currency, and you know, they were just crowing about. All of a sudden, crickets. It's gone dead quiet. And, you know, somebody in the propaganda machine there has got in there and said, well, they had Brian Stetler from CNN got booted out of CNN in the US, the director or whatever he was, and he's over there with the World Economic Forum telling them how to run their PR, and he's they've figured it out that you guys better shut up, or you're not going to be, you're going to, you know, the world's going to be banging on your doorstep. So they've shut up, I think, and they're watching for all this to just happen now. Thanks to Dr. Yerden, yeah, thanks to him. He's doing a good thing, isn't he? The people have the power. People just need to stand up and do what France and the other countries, they do, but I don't know that they will. Like here in Australia, people just have that thinking, oh, it'll never happen here. And it's just, it's atrocious because it will. It's already, they've passed the laws here. New Zealand's the same. You know, I think the next pandemic, the next disaster, the World Economic Forum, before they went all, you know, hiding under their rocks, and they were crowing about crashing the internet. They said, oh, somewhere in the next, I forget what they said, year or so, we're going to have, hello, Scott, down under. They said, we're going to have the internet go down, and that's going to be the biggest problem the world's ever had, is the internet crashing. So I think we will see the internet crash. And I think it's very important that you establish, and I establish, community with the people around us of like spirit, people that are not, you know, greedy, psychopathic in that. Americans have guns, we aren't giving them up. Yeah, maybe so, but it's if they can keep you fragmented enough, if they can keep the left fighting the right, and that's the thing with the US, they get the left fighting the right, and Antifa and all these sort of things they throw in the mix. And in the middle of that, the globalists are there. I mean, there's videos of Klaus Schwab complimenting Biden in being one of the best members, of the hardest working members of the World Economic Forum. So your leaders in America, I believe, what's his name, Obama, those ones, they're all globalists. They are not about the USA. They are not there to build the USA. They are to tear you down from the inside out. They are traitors, and they are working against the USA, in my opinion. And I think the evidence of that is pretty evident. The right to have guns, yeah, but it's going to be a desperate day when they start pulling the guns out. And people don't want violence, but they're prepared to. They're looking for an excuse. I'm wondering when Macron in France is going to bring out the military and implement martial law. They're just looking for an excuse. And I think, I hope not. Again, now there's a few more people on. If you're from France or you're in France and you have a first-hand talk on that, or you can give us an inside scoop, could you come on, give us a message? You don't have to put your face on if you don't, point the camera at the ceiling if you want, but love to hear from you about France. If you're in there, boots on the ground in France. If you know people that are there, I mean, heck, you know, I'd jump on a plane, go to France. What a place to be. You've got to be where it's happening. They're going to fight for freedom. We'll stand with them. I'll go there and film and jolly, give people water. I don't care. They're good people, good people. And these leaders are just wicked in what they're doing. So yeah, I think, again, let's remember where this is. It's the World Economic Forum and they're globalists. You don't know what's happening. Yeah, you need to look at the videos that are on here. The US military being trained to turn their guns on the populace. I think more what's happening with that is, and I believe I've heard rumour of it, I can't confirm it, that the UN troop sort of thing. Different countries are bringing troops in from other countries to... Here in Australia, I can tell you firsthand, where I am right now, I'm in Brisbane, Australia. Their governor equivalent has put out a thing saying they are bringing in 1,500, I think it was, police officers from overseas. They can't get the police officers here that want to turn against their own people. They have recruited 1,500 police officers to bring into Australia that are not even citizens of Australia. They're going to enforce the laws of Australia and they've never even lived here. So it's the same sort of thing. They're going to bring in, remember, globalists, so they want to shift. Everything's global in their thinking. They want to bring people from one part of the world to the other that will give you the right to live here if you do what we say. FAFO, I think FAFO, you'll have to, I don't know what that one is, I'm sorry. Season is coming, I have a license and there's no limits. I think the blue hats will always do their bidding. I got a friend in Canada, we have arguments over them, well, arguments, but we have healthy banter over this. They'll bring a hell of a lot more over there. I hope you're from the US. You're right. If they do it, sorry, I get sidetracked because I see comments that are just pretty good that need to be addressed. But they will bring in. Here in Australia, we had protests, and I lived in the city they were protesting in for a time in Canberra. They had one police. It's a city that was at the time was about 300,000 people. At night, they used to have one police officer that patrolled the south end of the city. So they don't have a lot of police. In the protests down there, they had massive amounts of police. And I really believe they were bringing in the military, putting them in police uniforms. And I remember trying to talk to some of those men, and they would not engage in talk at all. In fact, they were aggressive, even when nothing was going on. I can leave Australia, yeah. I'm hoping to be back in the US shortly. Like to just get back over to ground zero there. 400 million guns here, yeah, and trillions of rounds of ammo, yeah, but who are you going to shoot? They know that they're playing the left against the right. They'll just get you shooting each other. And while they sit in their, Davos in Switzerland, and, the globalists and George Soros and, all these sort of people, they're sitting in the background, smiling, laughing, that we're all fighting each other. And they poke the hate, they poke the anger. I believe that's why they've got so aggressive on the trans agenda. They know it's a very controversial thing. They want to get people really emotionally charged up. I mean, they're talking about passing laws. I saw in one of the countries on bestiality, allowing that. They're looking, pedophilia. They are looking for things to offend. If they can get the people so offended, you're not going to pay attention to what they're doing. And in the background, they are passed laws, and they are passing laws that are giving away your country. Think about it. Let's take the US, for example, the 31 trillion last I saw of debt. It can never be paid back. It's impossible. They never plan to pay it back. They're going to crash the economy. They're going to crash the US currency, and then they're going to bring in a central bank digital currency. And people are saying, well, we'll never take the digital currency. It's big talk when you have to feed your family and when they're threatening to throw you out of your home because you don't have an income. People will take the digital currency. And with that, people are like, what's the big deal? Well, they limit your movements. I mean, look at the Chinese, they're doing it already. They limit your movements, they limit how much you spend, they put expiry dates on your money. I think in the world, they easily make up 30, yeah. If we had a level playing field, we could pay the debt back, but they'll never let it happen. Because they have to firstly trim off government, right? Government's never going to close a government department. They just keep feeding it. And so I think they have a plan to crash the currency. And in the chaos, I personally believe, it's just my personal conviction, that I think there'll be about 3 years when they crash the US currency of like chaos we're seeing in France, similar to that. And because they want that chaos, and in the chaos, they're softening Americans. Some of the Americans have said on here, we have guns. Well, they're going to have you using the guns on each other. Oh, we're going to shoot Antifa. Antifa's shooting us. We're going to be... and in that, they're sitting back while you're all fighting. And once the fight's gone out of you, and once people have to at some point eat and pay their bills. So I think what they ultimately do... Thanks, Alf. So I think ultimately what they do then is they step in and they say, oh, we have an answer for you. Central bank digital currency. And, oh, by the way, you're going to have what you think is autonomy in your country, but really you're going to be being run from behind the scenes. And that's the thing with America already, is being run by globalists. And you can say, oh, the left or the right. Haley, what's that woman in Georgia? I can't think of her name. Haley someone or other. She was over there at the WEF. She's Republican. Brian Kemp is another one. That's the one I'm thinking of. Brian Kemp was at the WEF and didn't want to talk to anyone. So it's like, why are you hiding? If you're not ashamed of what you're doing, if you're not ashamed of why you're here, talk and say, oh yeah, the World Economic Forum, I'm not for him. There's Rebel News has him on there. He's trying to hide from him. Yeah, the left aren't armed, but even if they were, they'll give guns to them. They will give guns to the US population, ultimately, to have them killing each other. And when you've had 3 years, I think about 3 years of chaos, people, their spirit is broken, they've had enough. They'll be like, I can't do this anymore, we just want normal. Then they're going to step in with it and present normal. Well, we have a central bank digital currency, it's going to give us, you know, all these things. And look, a lot of people don't understand what that really is. In Taiwan, they put expiry dates on the currency. If you didn't spend it by a certain time, it disappeared, so you can't save money. They 15-minute cities that they've merged in with this. And they've already have one in the US that's being worked on. I've shared the video on it, where they're, you can't go 15 minutes out. If you go 15 minutes out of your city, your money won't work in a CBDC. So you're in New York City and you want to go to Indiana, they'll shut off the currency. Well, you can't buy fuel for your car, but you probably have electric vehicles anyway. But they shut it off so you can't get there. So you say, well, I want to go and visit my family. I've shared videos of this scenario in China, where people didn't have the personal carbon credit score. So if you're doing your recycling in the US and you put the wrong trash in the incorrect bin, your neighbor is encouraged to turn you in. That's what they do in China. So they report you because they get a credit reward for that in their carbon credits. And then you lose carbon credits. And so now they have everybody informing on each other in China. So there's videos there of people that got off the plane, they have their rolly bags from the airport, and they can't get on a flight, they can't get on a bus, they're not allowed on a train. And these people had been walking, I think the article was something like 5 days. They were walking out in the country pulling wheelie bags because they couldn't get on public transport because they didn't have the personal carbon credit score to get on there. Yeah, Edmonton and Alberta are doing the 15-minute city. It's global. Here in Australia, Newcastle, Australia is starting it. And they're all so, oh, it's so wonderful. No, it's not. But I think the problem is, like here in Australia, they've passed a lot of laws. You're talking here about game over and there are millions who won't give up. There are, but think about it. They get those millions fighting each other, then when they're worn out, they step in as an answer. You keep enough chaos and people will always move towards what would bring some sort of normality. You keep chaos in a family, and when somebody comes in and presents normal, all of a sudden everyone's going to flock to that. No, there's nothing wrong with monitoring credit scores, but I'm not talking about credit scores. It's carbon credits. It's not credit score, it's carbon credits. So they are going to monitor your carbon credit. So in other words, if you drive a V8 in America, you lose carbon credits. And so now you're not allowed to travel with a CBDC, they shut you off. You can buy carbon credits, but they make it so expensive that food, you can't. I've shared the videos of supermarkets. Whole Foods in the US is doing it, where you have to scan in. In China now, they're scanning their faces. And the shelving in the supermarket are locked doors, glass doors. You see what you want, you scan your face, you open the door, you put it straight in your cart and you just walk out. It's all part of a central bank digital currency to completely control every part of our lives, every part of our lives. They've already done it in the lockdowns, right? Yeah, Australia, in fact, there's a video just came out of one of our senators. Someone's asking about the you know, can't say it, get kicked off. Here in Australia, same globally, massive excessive deaths, or I think it was 17% up. And that's a global phenomenon, but it's the sudden adult death syndrome or something else. Like, please, yeah, when do you people wake up? Reading conspiracy theories again. Yeah, well, unfortunately, a lot of those things seem to be coming true, don't they? I've never really been pro-conspiracy theory stuff. I've sort of filed a lot of it in, oh, interesting, but I'm not what you would call fringe in that, I wouldn't think, or depending on who you're talking to. But a lot of this stuff's just happening for citizens. Yeah, my company just paid $1,500 for 4 tickets and Citizens reported it. Yeah, I'm in Citizens Bank, and I was in Citizens Bank in the US. I think they closed my account. But yeah, it's bad. They're closing accounts. They've just, yeah, they're taking over step by step by step. That's why I'm going to keep saying this all the way through this broadcast. That's why the World Economic Forum and the globalists are all of a sudden quiet after years of bragging. They know that things are going down. They know that they're about to crash the US currency. And if they are in the forefront of that, and they're there saying, oh, you're going to have a CBDC. Well, guess who America's going to use their first bullets on? The Bill Gates of this world. And they don't want that. They're Klaus Schwab. So they've shut up and they're hiding in the background trying to take the heat off themselves, I believe. Was it coolfood.org is what Canada is doing to force carbon credit system. Yeah, okay, I'll have to have a look at that. Can you send that again later in the links when I'm finished, and we'll have a look. It's stunning the amount of organisation they've done, the amount of programming over the years. They're bringing this through so easily. They've blocked French protests in the US media. It's the same here. You're not seeing it in any of the media because people are in a rage. Everybody's on the razor's edge. And even sharing it, I have to be so careful what I share because I'm constantly fighting the shadow bans. And like I said, here on TikTok, they released me. I didn't even know I was restricted. I'd share a video and get 10 views where I was getting 10,000 views prior to that. But I think it's just come out. Excuse me, why is Biden? I don't believe Biden's destroying the USA. I think Biden's not that smart. I think Biden is a globalist, and it's Klaus Schwab's even said that. But I think Biden is senile, and it's people running. They're running him from behind the scenes, and the globalists are running. They needed a man that was going to be a puppet, and they found it in Biden. Biden thinks he's the boss. He's not. FJB was installed to make the destruction look like incompetence. Yeah. So cool food means for housing, nothing homes, schools, restaurants, no meat, just a chicken garnish or a salad. Yeah, well, actually the largest cricket, just another thing they say is not real, but the largest cricket farm in the world is in Canada because they've told, the globalists have said, you are going to eat crickets. We're going to take your meat off you. What is it, 3,000 farms they're trying to close in the Netherlands? They're on track. So Obama and Clinton, Trudeau are dead. The media's not covering it, no. But they're expendable. They don't care. And I don't even think Klaus Schwab's the one behind this. I think you've probably got the Bilderbergs, not the Bilderberg type people that are in this. Rothsteins, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the banking. And that's why I say they're going to crash the financial system of the world because these men rule it. They've run it for forever. There are 2 cricket farms in Canada. Okay, there you go. And I actually saw an article too about all the bugs that they're putting in the US food that the US don't even know about. So I think there's an app, I can't remember the name of it, maybe someone knows it, you can put on your phone in the US, you scan an item at the supermarket and it brings up what's in it. I suggest put it on your phone. You need to start scanning what you buy because they are already putting, and I think the word to look for is sustainable. If they're putting sustainable flour, sustainable meat, sustainable, anything sustainable, you know, is probably bugs or similar. Can you summarise what's happening in France? Well, I'm not French, but I have followed a lot of what's going on. It primarily is they're trying to lift the retirement age because obviously they've ploughed the country's economy under and they need to try to get money somewhere. And so they're doing that. And of course it's stealing the money from the French. But you know, it's like inflation really, isn't it? Inflation's a dishonest tax. There's honest tax, if you want to call it that. The government's supposedly honest tax, and there's dishonest tax, and that's inflation. The government is stealing from its own people. I believe when they crash the economies, they are going to take people's retirement funds. That's my opinion. A lot of people will lose their retirement. They will lose everything. Look at the video I shared on Two Free Scott on Facebook. I'm not sure if I put it on TikTok, but it's talking about Lebanon. The people are saying we had property in our family for generations. We had $140 billion wiped off just like that. And they took, if there's any debt, they just took it. They took everybody's property and everything. So the cricket farm's called Aspire Foods. So if you're texting, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to, I don't have some women have got those great brains that can multitask. I'm that, invite to go live. Who we got here? Joe Jengandan. Joe, is that an accident or did you want to come on? If send me a message if you want to come on, and I'll accept you and let you on. If anyone is, again, if you're in France, you're in Paris, or you're somewhere there when you're watching what's going on in France, and if you're brave enough, come on live. We'd like to talk to you and just see what you've got to say. Yeah, even Jesus said, give to Caesar what's Caesar's. That would be the honest tax. You're probably right. It's how much you give to Caesar, I guess. That's what he never said, right? It's, I think we're looking at massive inflation. And they're going to bring in CBDC with that. It's going to be a more level currency where a loaf of bread will cost you $1 on a CBDC. It costs you, $15 on a regular currency. And people will just go towards the central bank digital. They'll say, we'll convert your currency or you'll lose it. Inflation's taking your money, the greenback, but if you go to a central bank digital currency, we'll give you a transfer. And that's the sort of thing they're doing in Nigeria. Yeah, Biden, maybe he's not seen a lot. I don't know him, but he does some silly things. And I don't think he's... Cognitive decline is, let's put it that way, we'll be nice to him. His cognitive decline is very evident, Biden's, to the world. And I think they've put a man like that on in purpose. Same in Australia. The man they've put here is probably on par with Biden in some things. Move currency to XRP. Well, again, I don't personally, it's a good point. I don't personally think they're going to allow a final answer of where you can put your funds. I think a lot of people don't realise after the Second World War, the US outlawed gold. They made everybody turn their gold in. So they'll do it again. Oh, if you want an economy, you're going to have to give us your gold. I think they were allowed to keep their wedding ring. Look it up. That's a fact. They will do it again. If you do have gold and silver, I don't suggest having big blocks of it. I would have manageable small pieces that you can actually use for something, because if you're going to have big blocks of it, it's not like you can go to the supermarket, get your pen knife out and carve off a big, how much gold you want? You're going to get knocked on the head. You're not going to make it home. You've been watching live on Brits Live, is it? Yeah, there's a lot of demonstrating. Look at the videos today. There's fires. There's a police officer being dragged that was obviously, they're getting bricks thrown at them like this, the police, and obviously, even they got that gear on, people are going to get hit and hurt, and it's chaos there. And they want chaos because they're making the changes in chaos. And you wait. I'll almost guarantee it, as sure. You give somebody power, they're going to use it. Macron is going to it. If this keeps going, Macron is going to bring in martial law, and I believe he'll bring the military out on the streets. I don't know what the Constitution of France is with that, whether they allow it. But it doesn't matter. They say it's not in the Constitution. But they're doing whatever they want. They did it here in Australia. Stuff that's not in the Constitution. COVID just did away with everything. They did whatever they wanted. So, yeah, France is, pray for France. If you're in France, let me know. I'll come stay with you. I'd love to be there, just being a support to the French. I think it's important if you're near there to be a support as much as you can to the French people. What else have we got coming in? Just like Trudeau did with the Emergencies Act, absolutely. And what did he do with all the digital type stuff? Just shut it all off. So I think if you're going to have bitcoins and things like that, ultimately they are going to shut it off. It may not be immediate. Now, so people say, well, what do I do with gold? My suggestion is there is not going to be a final answer, but it might prolong how long you can function. to store food at your home. It's not a bad idea, but you're not going to be able to store enough food to outlive this thing. But if you have some food there, when it hits, it gives you a breathing space. There's a little bit of pressure gone. You're able to actually function. You can eat and absorb what's happening spiritually and mentally and be able to go on. And I think gold's the same. Initially, gold won't be outlawed. I don't know. But ultimately, they will outlaw gold in some way. They'll make you hand it in. But if you've got some gold, it buys you a little more time. So I think we need to be looking at what sort of things can I do to buy time. People are like, well, I'll go out in the bush and I'll live on a farm. They're not going to let you, they're not going to leave you out there. But it might buy you some more time. The year 2047, people are still blaming COVID. Yeah, I know. Not everyone lives in that kind of slavish mentality. Yeah, maybe. If I'm not sort of sure what mentality you're thinking about. I presume you're talking about preparing. Yeah, I haven't prepped. I don't have food stored. I'm encouraging people to do it. I'm just not in a place I can do it. I'm living on the road at the moment. So, seeds, ammo, farm animals are going to be gold. They are, but if you're the one eating and nobody else is, somehow I don't think they're going to leave you alone. The barter is a good thing if you're good at it. I think now's a good time to start with that. I shared a barter app on at one time, Barter Days with a Z, that they've just launched here in Australia. It's a good idea. I suggest you jump on that if you're in Australia and start to get familiar with bartering, because it's really not a bad thing. And think about it, we default to normal and we always want normal, and people can't believe that this is happening. But if you woke up tomorrow morning and the currency's gone, and the banks, we're seeing in the US, closing banks and things, what would happen to you if your bank closed tonight? Where would you be? If you have an excessive amount of money in the bank, I suggest you have serious thought about what to do with that. I think personally, I'm not a financial advisor, but to me, pardon me, cash is the worst thing you can have right now. It's valueless and it's losing value by the day. What else have we got here? And I'm in us, they're poisoning our water. Maybe so, but again, don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. They're putting every offence, everything they can, because they don't want to offend one part of the community. They're trying to get everybody upset, and then everybody suspicious of everybody, and everybody fighting everybody. And like I've said, and I'm going to keep saying, the World Economic Forum has gone quiet. They've all disappeared, sitting over there in Davos, sipping their tea or whatever they're doing, while they've got their PR people making everybody fight. They're out of the picture, so they're not getting the blame for it now, because otherwise the world will come and run them over. So they're just being quiet, and they're behind the scenes initiating and instigating a lot of what we're seeing. Don't ever lose sight of it. It's the globalists and the World Economic Forum that are doing this, and the people that are behind that. What are you selling cooker? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm sorry. What do I do for a living? Well, I was a minister. I ran non-profits in the US. Here in Australia, 25 years ago, I worked in a non-denominational Christian church. Don't like organised religion, so I sort of stepped out of that and into the freedom, which a lot of you would understand, freedom of the spirit. I love Jesus. I live for him. So in the US, I lived in Boston, travelled all over the US, San Francisco, Pensacola, Florida, Washington, DC, spent time there. And then I went back to Boston and just fed people, not with any organisation other than one I just set up. But we just saw a need and met a need, fed people, didn't ask them who they were, where they were from. Just, we had so much food, like from Restaurant Depot. If you're in the US, you'll know who that is. And I just take the food, just get out of here. If I never see you again, that's great. So I did a lot of that. Here in Australia, I'm just living a bit of a global drifter at the moment. So, chitin, I'm not an expert in bugs, but chitin's supposed to be in bugs. You're not supposed to be able to eat it. And they are making us, they are bringing it in. They bring here in Australia, they've bought packets of dried crickets and they've fed them to school children. Obviously without the parents knowing, trying to get them, would you eat crickets? Try these crickets. They're doing it all over the world. Hello, did you do a community for the poor? I did a community for the people. And, you know, sometimes I remember the story of one of the people I was feeding with what I was doing was receiving food. I'd never met them. I didn't know their name. I didn't want to know their name. It didn't matter to me. It was if you see a need and you're a human being that professes any faith in God, you need to help. Not because you're going to get them to an organisation or be able to, no. So I remember this one lady was taking our food and giving it to a friend of hers who worked on Wall Street, and he was an investment banker of some kind, I believe, that had lost his job, and the man had a lot of money when he was working, but he was sitting in his office depressed. I fed them for probably 6 months through somebody else, and then eventually they turned up, and she didn't even know. We sent her meat. She didn't even know how to cook a steak. Another lady that was from well-to-do. So don't be fooled. Just because someone's in a big house doesn't mean they're not hurting financially. One of our ladies was meeting her in a parking lot in another part of her town so no one would see her, and giving her food that she was taking home and living off. I never met that lady. Don't even know her name, didn't care to. As long as I knew we were helping her. And I think that's the community spirit they can't beat us in that. That's the community spirit that keeps us alive. And it's often what the people are doing behind the scenes, the ones that aren't making the noise. My father always used to say, empty drums make the most noise. And there's people that are doing things and that you don't know their name, you don't know their face, and they're doing. I wish some of them had come on here. I've asked them. One guy I know is doing some good things with finances, but I can't get him on here. What do I think of the planes that are spraying? I think it's a distraction. I have no doubt. I've seen the videos where they have sprayers in planes. What they're doing in it, I don't know, but I just think there's more important things to focus on. A well-organised society for the poor would be good work. No, a well-organised society for people would be good work. And I think the poor is we're all just as important as each other. And like I've just said, there's a lot of people that are projecting a lifestyle that they're living that's a lie. They are not functioning well. They're not doing well. They're suicidal. The pressure of some of these men. I want to talk, and women, but I want to talk to the men on that. Don't give up. It's just money. At the end of the day, walk away. You can just walk away, and you'll be the happier man. You'll be the happier man. So don't ever think what you do is who you are. It's who you. What matters is who you are on the inside. And if you look and saying, well, I'm doing things, or I'm ashamed of what I am, or I'm not providing properly, or things are going bad, don't be hard on yourself. Yep, we're all like that. We all go through those struggles. And, you know, I laugh. They put these posters up in the supermarket here of men's support groups. Come and have a little chat. I couldn't sit in one of those groups, and I think most men wouldn't even want to admit to that. But I'm just telling you, as man to man today, you're hurting. If you're hurting, don't give up. Don't give up. Yeah. Many people will look well off, are in huge debt, and they're the ones that are going to be under a lot of pressure. And I think a lot of family can put pressure on you to perform, and we allow it. If we allow it, we're the problem, not them. Laura and you took all his money. I don't know what that means. So you aren't what you do. No, you're not what you do. It's true. You're not what you do. You can always find something. I've relived life. My life was reset. I don't know if I'm freezing here, so I don't know if I'm still coming through. But I went through a pretty messy divorce 4 years ago, and I'll spare you the detail of it. But I'm just saying it to say I lost everything, and a lot of my children were turned against me. I have 8 children, so. I had some that stood and understood what was going on, the older ones, but a lot of the other ones were just completely turned against me. And now one of the worst ones I hadn't seen or spoken to in 3 years, I'm now living in a home with him. He realised he's come back. And so I want to say to you, whatever you lose, whatever you go through, you matter. You matter. This thing's jumping on me and freezing, so I'm not even sure if it's coming out here. But what have we got here? I can tell you, I've been there too. Yeah, Scott, it's not easy. So obviously, I think you folks are hearing me, but my video's frozen. I'll tell you one of the key things that happened to me. I ended up in the courts through this, and my lawyer was in the car with me one day and turned to me and said, "Scott, I've been doing this for 25 years," and she was a woman. She said, "You truly are a victim." She said, and you are being victimized. She said, "But if you live as a victim, you're dead while you live." And okay, thank you. Yes, so you're hearing me, but the picture's freezing. Yeah, I have the same problem here. So I thank God it broke something in me. I didn't see myself as a victim. I started to change and started to live like a victor instead of a victim. And Jesus was a good example for me, because I feel like he lived as he could have been the biggest victim in what he went through, but he lived as a victor. And I can maybe yell out to my son in the other room. Hey, Daniel, can you shut the internet off if you're on it? Please. Maybe we can come on again here. I think it's frozen pretty bad. And I can just send me a message. Are you still hearing me? If you are, I'll keep talking. If not, I'll put it off. I've got the messages, so you can send messages. Birds of the same feather flock together. Yeah, thank you. So I think we've got a bit of a delay here. I'm just pausing while giving a chance if there is a delay. You can hear you. Oh, great. Thanks, Chris. So I can read your comments. So if people want to interact that way, you can send the comments and I can do it. Oh, so the sound's very clear. Excellent. That's all you need to see. It's probably safer that way. It's not being silly. Hey, I've been doing some videos with this Melissa Gelanese, and if you haven't seen that, jump on there and have a look. It's something for the ladies as well, and I think we're trying to just be calm, talk about some of the issues that are going on in a way where we're not caught up in the drama. And if you haven't seen that, I would sure appreciate you jumping on there, put in your comments, your remarks. It's on Facebook, on 2 Free Scott, and or on here. I think it's on here as well, but the longer version's on Facebook and on Telegram. So here we go. I know how to send a link to coolfood.org on your screen. I don't know how either yet. If you send it before I hang up, I'll mention it again. I'll try and look that up. I'll go back through my comments. I'll look it up and I'll put it into the thing when I see it. If it's something that helps people. Again, too, if you've got anything that you're seeing as a good idea that's helping people to be ready, to be stable in this, send it along. I'd love to see it. On my 2 Free Scott, I have a store on there, which I think some potato planters are on there and things like that I just share. I don't even know if I've sold any. To be honest, I don't think I've probably looked once when I first set it up to see if anything had sold, and I'm not in it for the money, so I really don't care. If you have a good product, even if you have a good product, I'm happy to share it. I'm not just going to share product that you think's good, but if it's really relevant to what is happening and it's going to help people on their journey, I'm all in. What do we got? The French are hyped because they are white. Oh, I don't know about that. Hi, mate. Happy Friday afternoon. You're all... lost that one. Sorry, it went off. All over the world have the same issues. We do. The World Economic Forum, that's why they've disappeared. It's not good for people, but the government is doing it here. Oh, Cool Food. Okay, so it's not good for people. I'm sorry. So Cool Food is not I haven't seen it, but I think the Canadians on here are telling me that's a site the Canadian government's putting on to try to program people. Am I right now? To get them eating and doing what they want. It's not a good one. From Geelong, Victoria. Hello, Geelong. You guys down in Victoria, they gave you hell. Dictator Dan is like the governor down there. He thinks he's God. Australia's in a sorry state. I believe Canada and New Zealand, a lot of the laws have passed for globalism, and I think it's just a matter of time. Again, they're trying to break the US. They break the US, then all these things just are already in place and ready to go. They will crash the US currency. Mark my words for it. Honestly, I don't know if you believe in God, but 23 years ago, when I went to the US, September 99, and I'm not a big dream and vision guy, right? But I started to have a vision or dream, whatever you want to call it, of US currency a foot deep on the floor and on the ground in Boston, in the streets of Boston, downtown crossing. I never understood it at the time. I knew it was going to be the collapse of the US currency. I wrote a book, The Vegetable Garden, Faith and a Corvette. You can get that free. I will send it to you free if you email me, not the book, but I'll send you an electronic copy of it. You can buy it on Amazon. But it talks about my journey out of basically religion and into more of a spiritual, free way of living. So, yeah, they will crash the US dollar soon, ads. I think by the end of 2023, we will see that, or 2024 US presidential election. That's why they want Trump indicted or convicted of a felon so he can't run for president, because he would be able to come up with a national answer. But they don't want a national answer. They have to break the US. You're a believer. That's good, Dave. That's great to hear. So the audio's breaking up. All right, so I might call it a day because it sounds like we've lost the video. It sounds like the audio's doing its thing. And I'll come back on here again. I haven't been on for a while because I've sort of been running around. Go back, look for the Let's Chat on there, which is, you'll see a really, beautiful looking lady and me sitting beside talking about world events. Take a look at that. Send some comments there. Send some questions to that. And again, we're just trying to present a calm answer. We're not trying to get caught up in the global drama. We're aware of it, but we're trying to say let's all be calm about this and be the answer instead of just screaming the answer. Oh, the audio's fine. Okay, so we're back on audio. So I think Melissa's, at Melissa Gelanese. I'm at 2FreeScott. And yeah, we'd appreciate your input on that. Some of the things going on in your area, you can ask questions, send stuff like that in, and we'll address that. So we're usually doing that every Tuesday, Wednesday, once a week. So we can build towards that. Melissa tends to like to be a bit more focused on the Australian front. Because I've spent so long in the USA, I'm probably a little more focused on the US. But human rights do need to revive, but human rights are not an action, they're a state of your heart, really, aren't they? And if you can't respect yourself, you're not going to respect others. So again, they're causing the fighting so they can control us. Alrighty, I'm going to punch out here. Great to have you. Hey, hit a like or a follow if you can, and I'll try and come on live again and in the next few days here, and we'll have a good chat. So maybe some of you will get brave enough to come on. Thanks again. God bless you. Stay safe, stay free, and God be with you. Talk soon.